Aloha, friends. I'm thankful for the comments that have been made about limiting how many hills we die on. I respect all thoughts. I just have some other thoughts that might be a little bit contrary. Maybe not. Maybe it's just on the side. And I also got some new toys to play with, and from a teaching job, and this gives me a good opportunity to kind of try them out, uh, to kind of do these little mini lessons. So Let me start right here with my basic problem. To be honest with you, I was I was actually a little triggered by it because um, I had two real quick visceral thoughts, which are one, I went to my own personal experience where I was married for 13 years, and for many of those times, one of my primary principles, this was a principle to me. This was a principle that I would limit how many hills to die on. I remember listening to Dr. Laura and her saying, if your partner feels strongly about something but you don't feel so strongly, then why argue about it? Just for the peace of the home, do it. And so I made this something I really paid a lot of attention to, and it could be because I did it wrong. It could be because of the two people involved in that situation, but it didn't work. It did not work. Let me just cross that out. Didn't work. And then as I've thought about it more too, and I've talked to a few people getting their thoughts, I think more important than just trying to limit the number of hills we die on directly is to more indirectly say, be smart about choosing the hills you die on because some of them, uh, some arguments won't hurt as badly as you think, and then but might actually help you, and then withholding some arguments can actually hurt your relationship. In my opinion, but there's some deeper things that I kind of want to try to outline that I've had a hard time getting out on paper. That's why I drew all this. um, the first is I really enjoy when I've learned in therapy about this kind of bank model that you can look at your love, your partner, as a bank account, and as you serve and do right things, you're filling up all these different accounts, and as you maybe make mistakes or you do other actions, you're draining accounts. And if you get too low, the relationship really suffers. If you get nice and high, the relationship's great. And also, it can take some blows. It can take those mistakes when you kind of mess up in your relationship. But we're not talking about a real bank. We're talking about a bank of love, right? Now, when we say, you know, that we're going to go about the effort of dying on less and less hills, I think it's important to remember that we are making two major assumptions. Those assumptions are that let me zoom out. Those assumptions are that arguing will drain those accounts, and that not arguing fills those accounts. Let me take some arbitrary examples and just write them here on these pillars. We'll say this is the pillar of security. Many feminine partners, that's very important. But you know what? It is everybody, right? And then how about your love language? That's an account. People are loved in different ways. They want that. At the entry, we will put sex because that's important to people. Then we're also going to put R for respect, adoration, trust. That's all kind of right there. And then this account we're going to call the well-being account. All right. Now, I want to stop and think. If I, if the two of us disagree on something, but she seems more fervent about it, and I decide to kind of assert my point, and for the sake of argument, let's talk about. Obviously, sometimes you're not going to do it well, but let's say assert it civilly, assert it lovingly. All right. Does arguing drain accounts? Security. Do they feel any more secure, any less secure if you argue? I mean, if you say something really dumb, how about their love language? Have any of their love language been hurt? They're getting quality. They're getting quality time with you, right? If they're somebody who needs words of affirmation, why can't your arguing have words of affirmation? Quality time, affirmations. I don't see it. Gifts, it won't drain them. These other love languages, I don't see it draining it. Does it drain sex? I think it actually provides opportunities for sex. Think of how many great bed moments you've had after arguments, and the reports from a lot of my friends are the same. How about respect? Um, I don't know. I tend to respect people who hold their boundaries and communicate what they want and do it with love and with civility. I mean, I do. Well being. You know what? This one I will concede that for a time, perhaps it does decrease, but I'm going to say temporarily for now. How about not arguing? Does it actually fill these accounts? Does somebody feel more security when they sense you want something else, but you just say yes to? Do they literally feel more secure in that situation? Um, have they felt they gotten quality time with you? Have they gotten words of affirmation that they can tell are real when all you said is yes, dear? Well, it's okay. Go ahead. I don't know how it would affect sex. Um, do they respect you? I mean, come on. We know women are intuitive. Do they respect you when they can sense you want something else or you have another idea, and all you do is say is yes, dear. Okay. Yeah, yeah. I just want peace in the house. Yeah. Okay. It's not worth arguing about. And then does not arguing create well-being? I'm gonna say possibly, but temporarily. And so to kind of bolster my points and maybe go a little deeper, um, I wanna point out a couple things that happen. One thing, yeah, a couple things. First thing that happens to all human beings when you is people grow expectations when something's become the pattern of the norm, and you just get used to receiving it, and it becomes a problem if someone takes it away, and then also you don't recognize that you're receiving it. It's just and it doesn't do what it used to do for you. This is true of many things. Think Disneyland. For me, I used to love Disneyland. I freaking hate Disneyland now. I've been there. I see it for what it is, a line to be in a line to spend more money. And but the point is, I've been there a lot, and so I'm like kind of over it, right? I can think of songs like that. Our brain just gets used to any kind of stimulation, be it bad or good. And we also make patterns, and when something has been there consistently, we expect it to be there consistently. So, number one, you risk providing this opportunity and this subtle temptation of lack of gratitude and expectations of this is the way it's going to be. And then the second problem, perhaps similar problem, is the Absalom problem. The Absalom problem, what I mean by that is I'm talking about in the Bible, Absalom. He was King David's son. And he turned against his father, led a revolution against his father. And when you study the Bible about why he did that, because it's crazy. Why would you do that? He had a great dad, he was king. You find it wasn't for power, it was actually because David uh, was not disciplined amongst his children. He didn't discipline them. He wasn't just, he wasn't righteous among them. And literally, well, didn't allow them to get away with murder, but allowed them to get away with rape, I believe. I don't know. Look in the Bible. But what you see here in the Absalom problem is seen in raising kids. You know, we have this kid and he's crying, he's yelling, he needs it to be this way, he needs it not to be that way. He's asking questions, and you just want a peaceful home, and so you give that kid a candy, you let him play the game or whatever, and that's fine. Sometimes we're all human, we're going to do that, but done too much, it starts to breed disrespect. Done even more, it breeds disgust. Done even more, I think it breeds hate. To where finally you have your Absaloms who are like done. They hate you. The kids I've ever perceived to hate their parents the most were those who were not disciplined, who did not have loving boundaries from their parents. And I think this same Absalom problem, there's a similar thing in relationships. Is my hypothesis. Let me move this kind of. Um, a child is going to throw fits, it's going to argue, going to cry, it's going to demand, and you can temporarily assuage that, but you're going to breed disrespect, disgust, and then hatred. I think that all applies in a partnership. I think a child really wants those boundaries. They want to respect you, even though everything they're showing you is to the opposite. I think that's true in a partnership as well. I mean, we all the feeling we experience when we're arguing with our partner and we're throwing fits and we're crying is that we want our way, and for sure that's in there. But over time, if we if the partner is always giving that to us, but I especially think female to man, and that's just hypothesis. I could be wrong, but I think especially female to a man or feminine to masculine uh, situation. I'm open to be wrong on this. Um, by all accounts, they look like that's what they need, that's what they want. But over time, it will be disrespect, disgust, and eventually, well, in a relationship, what's happening is you're going to lose attraction. You're going to lose attraction for them, probably, maybe, possibly. Last of all, let me just point this out, or almost last of all, let me just point out that there's two banks to consider. Don't forget your bank. And too often in my marriage, I was thinking that I'm giving up my stuff to fill up her accounts. What I found is due to maybe that Disneyland effect, the desensitization effect, um, she her accounts weren't actually being filled by that. I mean, she was used to that. That was the modus operandi, right? Just when I want something, I get a little mad and I get a little passionate about it, and I know therefore it doesn't do anything. And then in the meantime, something else was building in me that I didn't necessarily do it on purpose, but it was expectations, right? I had kowtowed for 98 issues, so on the 99th, I'm like, babe, I gave you all of these. Uh, can I just have one? And of course, she never recognized she's not making the same list I am. And expectations breed resentment. And then let me just end on this. There's really actually three accounts to consider. There's you and your partner, but there's also um, the relationship itself, and that's built on things like autonomy, communication, uh, service, goodwill. And I can think about how some of these are not filled or even drained if we kowtow, if we yes dear. I mean, are we communicating? Are we communicating? Are we really having well being when we have this kind of built up feeling inside that we're always going to lose our argument because it's not worth having an argument? There have been, and the other thing is, um, I just believe there's better technologies than yesterday. There are better technologies than okay. There's ways to talk about these things, and I think we can get better at finding them. Uh, I'm I'm with you guys. I'm against arguing about stupid shit like you said this, she said this, stuff that doesn't matter. I get it, and I do think this is an important tool. It is an important tool to have in our tool belt to not die on dumb hills. Amen. Amen. But perhaps it doesn't deserve the place in our toolbox of being a principle. And definitely, I don't think it deserves being called an MO, the way we operate in our relationship. I don't at all.